The top-secret Nazi weapons that could have won the war. During the Second World War, the Nazis developed a variety of unconventional weapons, some of which were deployed on the battlefield and others that were never developed beyond the concept stage. Some of these weapons were truly horrifying, as they employed technology that was unfamiliar to the majority of individuals. Regardless of whether the victims were soldiers on the battlefield or civilians in the cities and towns, they instilled fear in their souls. The majority of these weapons were revolutionary in design and subsequently served as the forerunners and grandfathers of the weapon systems we use today, as the victors of World War II enhanced their concepts. And while some were undeniably awe-inspiring, others were genuinely peculiar. Number 7. Me-262 Schwalbe. Possibly the most conspicuous of Hitler's Wunderwaffe aircraft, the Me-262 Schwalbe Swallow was the world's first jet-powered fighter aircraft. The aircraft would have been operational earlier in the conflict. However, issues with metal quality, engine performance, and political interference resulted in its deployment commencing in April 1944. The Allies were able to counter the Me-262's efficacy in the air only by destroying it on the ground and during takeoff and landing, as it was so superior. The Me-262 was nearly impossible to intercept once it was airborne due to its remarkably high rate of climb in comparison to prop-driven fighter aircraft of the era. It is possible that the Me-262 could have had a substantial impact if it had been introduced earlier in the conflict. However, the reality is that not enough of them were produced. The Allied bombing dramatically slowed down production time and had a disastrous effect on Germany's ability to procure quality material. Consequently, Germany resolved to concentrate on the production of aircraft that were more straightforward to construct. Number 6. The V1. It was known by numerous names. The Germans referred to it as the Kirschkern cherry stone or the Meckerfer Maybug, while the British referred to it as the buzz bomb and the doodlebug. The V1 was a terrifying weapon, regardless of the designation it was given by the Reich Aviation Ministry, which designated it the Phi 103. The first of the so-called vengeance weapons used by Nazi Germany, it was intended to instill terror in the souls of the enemy. The V1 was the world's first cruise missile. 1 week following the Allied landings at Normandy, the Nazis launched their first V1s at London on June 13, 1944. Initially, the Allies were launching more than 100 V1s per day. However, as they advanced eastward, the V1's restricted range necessitated that targets also relocate eastward. V1s were launched at targets in the Netherlands and Belgium as England fell out of range, and this practice persisted until the conclusion of the conflict. The V1 was defended against by barrage balloons and the standard anti-aircraft guns. However, one method was highly effective, albeit exceedingly hazardous. Fighter pilots could confound the V1's guidance system by flipping it upside down in flight using their aircraft's wing. In the final analysis, the V1 was effective because it was cost-effective for Germany and it compelled Britain to shift a significant portion of its war effort toward defending against it. Numerous thousands of V1s have been launched by the conclusion of the conflict. Number 5. Me-163 Komet. The Me-163 was a highly audacious weaponry experiment. The Wunderwaffe was exceedingly hazardous to pilot, in part because it was not a genuine jet aircraft, but rather a flying missile with a skid for landing gear. The wheels would detach upon takeoff, necessitating that the pilot use a skid to land the aircraft on the runway. The aircraft's hazardous operation was further exacerbated by the highly volatile rocket propellant known as Stoff, which resulted in numerous incidents, including the death of the high-ranking Oberleutnant and fighter ace Joseph Post. The aircraft's rocket-powered capabilities enabled it to attain speeds that were unprecedented at the time. It was the first piloted aircraft to achieve a speed of over 1,000 kilometers per hour, and its record speed is 1,130 kilometers per hour, 700 miles per hour. The P-51 Mustang, a prop-driven aircraft that was considered to be extremely rapid, reached a maximum speed of 440 miles per hour, 708 kilometers per hour for comparison. Despite their revolutionary design and remarkable speed, Me-163's performance was subpar and only 370 were ever constructed. Only 9 to 18 Allied aircraft were brought down by the Me-163, while 10 were lost in combat. Number 4. Schwer Gustav. The heaviest artillery piece ever constructed was the Schwer Heavy Gustav. It was a railway gun that was specifically engineered to demolish French forts along the Maginot Line. The gun was not prepared in time for the campaign against France. However, it was utilized later in the war during the siege of Sevastopol, where its 800mm 31-inch shells were extremely effective. A munitions depot situated 30 meters 98 feet beneath the surface was obliterated during the siege. The Soviets were fortunate in that Sevastopol was the sole instance in which they would be subjected to Schwer Gustav. The cannon was relocated to Leningrad to participate in the siege. However, the Soviets had already lifted the siege before the gun could fire. A second cannon was ordered in addition to Schwer Gustav Dora. Krupp, the company that manufactured the cannon, has never traditionally requested payment for the initial piece when artillery was ordered. Consequently, the Wehrmacht was granted Schwer Gustav at no cost. Despite its remarkable appearance, this Wunderwaffe did not experience significant combat. Number 3. Panzer VI Maus. The Maus was anything but diminutive. It was the largest fully enclosed armored combat vehicle ever constructed. If the Maus had ever been deployed, it would have been a terrifying apparition on the battlefield, as it weighs 207 tons and has a length of 33 feet 10.2 meters. Although 5 were ordered, only 2 were ever constructed. Nevertheless, this Wunderwaffe possessed numerous deficiencies. The construction of an engine that was both powerful and compact enough to fit within the vehicle posed a challenge. The highest speed that was ever attained during testing was 14 miles per hour, 22 kilometers per hour. The vehicle's weight rendered it impossible to traverse the majority of bridges, in addition to its sluggish speed. Consequently, the tank was designed to traverse rivers with the assistance of a periscope and was purportedly capable of submerging 26 feet 8 meters. Number 2. The Horten Ho 229. The project was initiated in response to Hermann Göring's request for a light bomber capable of transporting 1,000 kilograms for a distance of 1,000 kilometers at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. The outcome was a soaring wing design that exceeded the expectations of its designers. Mock-up versions of the Ho 229 were subjected to tests following the war, and it was determined that the aircraft did have a reduced radar cross-section than other conventional aircraft of the era, albeit not to a significant extent. The Horten's speed, in conjunction with the radar cross-section's reduction, would have rendered it nearly impossible to intercept, even though tests indicated only a moderate improvement in its size, which was 80% of that of a modern prop-driven aircraft. Number 1. Landcruiser P-1000 Rat. Despite the fact that it was never developed beyond the concept stage, it is deserving of recognition as one of Germany's Wunderwaffe due to the audacity of its design. The P-1000 Rat was more than just a tank. The vehicle was more akin to a mobile combat platform than a traditional tank, as it weighed in at over 1,000 tons. Hitler was captivated by the concept. However, Albert Speer, who perceived no practical application for such an enormous tank, terminated the project before the construction of any prototype. Naturally, this enumeration represents only a small fraction of the Wunderwaffe that the Nazis either employed or envisioned. Additionally, some were lethal. We can be certain that the Nazis, who were both vicious and unstoppable, were not lacking in creativity. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let us know what you think and what you'd like to see next. Your support helps the channel grow.